terrible, tragic scandal that we learned of in our state secure facilities with both physical and sexual abuse and allegations that this occurred system-wide in a number of the different facilities. And so going into 2007, we had a tremendous momentum for change, and Chairman Madden and, again, Senator Whitmire and others worked very hard to pass Senate Bill 103 in 2007. Senate Bill 103 was focused primarily on conditions issues within the Texas Youth Commission, but what it also included and what sparked the restructuring movement that has started in Texas was a provision that said that in Texas you could no longer place misdemeanor youth in the state secure facilities. It also, when the legislature appropriated money for the budgets for the two agencies, gave the Texas Juvenile Probation Commission $57 million in new money for those misdemeanor youth so that the counties would be able to create programs to treat those kids. And so this started a very rapid decline in population in our state secure facilities. By 2009, as we went into the next legislative session, I think we'd already seen the population reduced by about half. Does that sound about right, Chairman? That's about right. So in 2009, we go into legislative session, and both agencies are under sunset review. And so one of the very controversial recommendations of the Sunset Staff Report was that the two agencies be merged. Now, this was not the first time that merger had come up. It had actually come up as early as, I think, 1991 when the Comptroller's Office did a performance review of the two entities, and so it had been hotly debated for many, many years. But in 2009, we were still recovering from the scandals that rocked the Texas Youth Commission in 2007. And stakeholders just weren't ready for merger. It wasn't the right time. And so instead, in 2009, the Sunset Bill, it was again championed by Chairman Madden and Senator Whitmire, included a provision that created a new discretionary grant program that counties could opt into. It wasn't mandatory, but they could opt into it, that would give them additional money to continue to divert youth from the Texas Youth Commission. This was really based on what they had seen in the success of the $57 million that had been put into the counties to treat the misdemeanor youth. And so we appropriated, I believe that was about $45 million in new money for the Texas Juvenile Probation Commission for those programs. And at the same time, because the population was so drastically reduced for the Texas Youth Commission, they cut the Texas Youth Commission's budget by about $100 million. Again, saw tremendous success with those programs in the wake of the 2009 session. I think 142 out of 168 counties opted into what were called the Grant C diversion programs. And in their first year, the counties that opted in reduced commitment to TYC by about 32%, 34%, Vicki, is that? And so tremendously, tremendously successful. Now, the failure to merge the two agencies was done over the objection of Senator Whitmire, who still felt very passionately that this was really the next step for Texas and what we needed to do to continue to achieve the reforms that we started to see. And so in that 2009 Sunset Bill, they included a provision that said that the agencies would again be under sunset review in 2011. So we go into the 2011 session, and we've seen, again, tremendous success in these Grant C programs for community-based alternatives to commitment to TYC. We've seen a continued, very rapid decline in commitments to the Texas Youth Commission, and we are also facing in Texas a $27 billion budget shortfall and a cry for increased efficiencies in state government. And so it really set the stage for Senator Whitmire and others who were proponents of merger to come in and, again, advocate for merger of the two agencies. And I think that the visionary leadership of both Senator Whitmire and Chairman Madden was to see this as an opportunity to continue those reforms. And so the bill that was passed is what we refer to as our restructuring bill, and it does merge the two agencies, but it also includes in the opening language of the bill, in the Purpose and Goals Clause, about a page and a half of policy language that prioritizes community-based alternatives to secure facilities, and really gives us the kind of policy language that we need to ensure that Texas continues down the path that it started in 2007 with diverting kids away from the expensive secure facilities and into community-based alternatives.
Excellent. Before we get to Chairman Madden, Jerry, this is comprehensive, sweeping reform. And for practitioners, from a sustainability perspective, and first we just want to hear how it was done from your voice also, because you were boots on the ground, action at it, doing these things. But also from a practitioner perspective, because it's sweeping, sustainability. Could you speak to that also?
Sure. I'll talk, first of all, I'll carry on a little bit from where Deborah has
Please
left
do.
off. Okay. John and I we discussed a little bit about what to do on the Youth Commission and organizations there. Obviously, as chairman of corrections, I have a responsibility and oversight not just for the youth facilities, but for the adult facilities in Texas, where we have 110 of those. We were looking at a budget cycle this time on the youth facilities of cutting the number of youth facilities down from 10 to 7. We had recommendations from several groups and things to do. But, John calls me at about 6 o'clock on, I think, the second day of the session, and he says, the Sunset Commission is going to meet very shortly, and I've got enough votes on the Senate side to go ahead with the change the recommendation, because Sunset Commission at this stage was recommending we keep them separate. To change the Sunset Commission's recommendation to we're going to consolidate them. But I don't know about the House. I said, well, I don't know about the House either, but give me a few minutes. I called him back in 30 minutes. We had every vote lined up in the House Sunset Commission that said we were going to go along with the Senate and vote to consolidate the two agencies. It took about 30 minutes. And everybody thinking about the process of how that works. That was built because over the period of time, we had built into the things that John and I had done a great deal of consensus over the whole spectrum of criminal justice, of the things that we had built the trust of basically the entire legislature in the things that we had done, because it started, my work in criminal justice, you guys have been at this a lot more than I have for a lot longer than I have. My criminal justice experience started in January 2005 when the Speaker of the House calls me in and says, you're Chairman of Corrections. I'm not a lawyer. I've never had a corrections bill in my life before then, was never on the committee, never been on criminal justice. My experience was basically election code things and stuff like that. And the Speaker calls me in and says, you're Chairman of Corrections. And of course I look at him and what do you say to the Speaker when he just made you Chairman of the committee? You say, thank you, Mr. Speaker, I really appreciate it. What a great honor. And under myself, in my own breath, I'm saying to me, oh God, why me? What did I do to deserve this one? I mean, what penalties am I getting now? But it did two things. Okay? The first was probably the smartest question I ever asked was, what do you want me to do, Mr. Speaker? And the second was he gave me the clearest answer that changed my life and my passions immensely when he said 8 words that changed my life. They were, don't build new prisons, they cost too much. And when you talk about what's happening now in the national scene around on all of the areas that we're talking about, I kind of think that was the first time that message was so clearly given to a graduate of West Point, I'm a military guy, who knows what a mission is. I just got a mission.